God, and dear man, I take you far away under the sycamore trees. In the dark trees that blow baby, in the dark trees that blow.
And welcome to Twin Peaks Unwrapped. I'm your host, Ben Durant, and beside me is...
Bryon Kazaska.
Hi, Bryon.
Hey, Ben, how are you?
I'm well. You know, I think this week we're supposed to have Mark Givens on the show. This is why I never say who we're going to have on the show, because I think we're going to change things up. We'll put Mark Givens' show up next week.
Yeah, something fell in our laps this week that was just like we had to get it out there.
Yeah, first, we really wanted to see Lucky, the film with Harry Dean Stanton, and we were thinking we were going to see it maybe in a few weeks, and then we found out there was a showing of it early that we could go and see, and we checked it out.
Yeah, by luck and by chance, we actually got to interview John Carroll Lynch, the director of the film. So, without further ado, here's our interview.
What's the matter, hon?
President Roosevelt escaped.
What are you talking about?
Presidents.
Which one?
Roosevelt.
Yeah, which one?
No, my tortoise. President Roosevelt. He escaped.
How does a 100-year-old tortoise escape?
I left the gate open when I went to check the mail.
Where's your mailbox? Europe?
I saw him eyeing that gate the other day. He had to have timed it out perfectly. I searched our entire neighborhood.
Did you search your entire yard?
Hey, we're talking about his best friend here.
Thank you, Lucky.
You're welcome, hon.
So Bryon and we saw Lucky at the Art House Theater Day, September 22nd, and it was so good. I thought it was such a special film. I'm so impressed with what you've done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Where'd you see it?
We saw it at the Amherst Cinema in Amherst, Massachusetts.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Great.
So how did this film come about? Can you share with us how this all came?
Well, the film was written and conceived, originally conceived by Logan Sparks and Drago Simonza. They're friends of mine, and Drago's an old friend of mine, and I knew Logan through Harry Dean. I'd met them both in the company of Dabney Coleman. Anyway, they wrote this beautiful script and approached me as an actor, and then a couple of months, which I said yes to, I'd be happy to. A couple of months later, they called me and wondered if I wanted to direct it. That's how it began.
Nice. Wow. And so Logan Sparks is a longtime friend of Harry Dean Stanton, and he's kind of said this film is kind of like a love letter. Can you tell us more about like what the film is about?
Well, they were driving down. They were driving across the desert, Drago and Logan, and they were talking about ways in which they could maybe work with Harry Dean or write something for Harry Dean. And so they wrote this, came up with this idea of kind of this loner guru on the edge of this small desert town, and that's how it began. But they were inspired by Harry Dean as a person and as a performer, and they wanted to work with him. Logan has said, he was his longtime assistant as well. I wanted to work with him and not just for him.
Yeah, that's really cool. And what can you tell us about working with Harry? Like, how was that relationship as this is your first time directing this film and then working with this legend?
Well, working with Harry is great. He was great, but it was not. He does not suffer fools, and so I needed to prevent myself from being foolish as a first-time film director. So I've worked on sets for quite a long time as an actor, and so that was the process was taking that experience and what I'd learned from other directors and putting it into play, and to help with the creation of the character of Lucky that is kind of inspired by the actor playing it, but not exactly like the actor playing.
Yeah. And I had read that he's like, Harry Dean actually would question sometimes things, what he was doing. Like, I guess, for example, like, you had this red light, and he's like, why does it have to be red? And it's like, for you as a director...
Oh, yeah, well, in the reading of the thing, he was like, does this have to... We have this red alley scene in the movie, and in the middle of it, he just goes, does it have to be red? I was like, we're in the middle of the reading. I was like, well... Yeah, and he goes, no, wouldn't it be better if it was white? And can we talk about it after the reading? You want to have it now? And he goes, no, wait, okay. Yeah. And he goes back into the reading. But he was always questioning things. I mean, that's what actors do, where they question it. Why is this in the script? Why isn't this in the script? That's what they do, and that's certainly what he did. He really took it on after a while, after he realized we were actually going to make this movie. He really took it on strongly and did beautiful work in the film.
Yeah. I think it's great that, you've been an actor for a long time, and so I think you probably understand actors. And I mean, that must have really helped in being a director to be in their shoes already.
I think that directors, most of the directors I've worked with who are excellent, understand the acting process quite well, even if they don't act themselves or haven't acted themselves. Yeah. It's obviously an absolute necessity to at some point hire actors. At least for now, we'll see what happens in 20 years. But at least for now, you still have to hire actors, and any actor worth their salt is going to try to bring themselves to the role as fully and completely as they can. They'll try to inhabit the character as they see it, and as you try to guide them to see it, and that's your job. So having some experience with that, as I have, certainly was a part of the job of being a director that I had the most experience in. After that, there were many things that I had heard about and had understood them intellectually and to some degree technically, but not experientially, and that was the ways in which movies are edited, color time, all those kinds of technical aspects, which were new to me in experience, not new to me in understanding.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe this is your first film that you've directed, because I really is a beautiful picture.
Very beautiful, yeah.
And just the way you've done the shots and the way, I mean, yeah, everything. I got the chance to watch it again and seeing the opening, and I said, boy, the way you establish things, they really do pay off later on in the film. And it's like, wow, you really have a great eye, and I was just really impressed with your style. It's really something else.
Thank you very much. It was a joy to have an opportunity to build the world and to have the conversation with the audience as director in the way in which the film was shot and edited. But the screenplay was such a very strong screenplay, and it was a great blueprint for the material, and then to be able to work with Harry and have his work, and obviously David's work in the movie is excellent, and so is everybody else. Everybody else just gave plenty of material to create the final product out of.
Yeah. And us being a Twin Peaks Unwrapped podcast, we're really into David Lynch. And so how did David Lynch get involved in this project?
He was recommended by, you won't be surprised, by Harry himself, who was going to play Howard, and he came up with David's name, and we all agreed that was a great idea. We found out if he could do it, and he was in the midst of post-production of Twin Peaks, but his love for Harry really, paid off for us, because he was willing to find the time we needed in a very busy time for him to act in the film, and he came so prepared and so ready to play Howard. He was very respectful, and just basically treated it as any actor I think you would imagine he would want to have on a set.
Yeah.
Was it kind of surreal to be directing David Lynch? Did you have a moment of, this is kind of weird?
I didn't ever have like an out of body kind of what the hell am I doing moment. It came late in the schedule. So in some ways I was more comfortable with the role I was taking on as being a director. And David was so open to direction and so respectful that it didn't ever feel uncomfortable. He just treated it as an actor, and I treated it as a director. And if he did have any problems with what I was doing on the set, he didn't mention it on the day. I also think that he had his hands full as an actor. He had a lot of material in a short period of time, so he was focused on that. And I'll tell you, there were many times in the process where in those 2 days we really needed him to be rock solid, and he was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, don't want to ruin a thing, but he has a little speech, and it was very powerful. David Lynch,
and funny
and
at the same time. It was funny to have something that was very meaningful, but also have some comical to it. Yeah, I like that. Something. And,
well, it was positively Lynchian, really.
Yes,
really was.
The humor inside this very moving thing. He never. The speech was written so beautifully, and he was really excited to say it. I mean, he called up Logan after he said yes, and he said, "I just love that speech. I love that about the tortoise. It's great. It really feels good to be able to have an opportunity on that."
Yeah. And the friendship between Harry's character and Lynch's character came very natural. I mean, you could feel that chemistry and that friendship.
Came right off the screen.
It really did.
Yeah.
I just loved it. And even the whole bars.
Well, because they know each other. They know each other so well as people. And it was a great shorthand. I've had the opportunity to play with friends and to play friendships with close friends on film and on stage, and there's nothing like having that shorthand in those years between people. It's very difficult to establish that so quickly with people that you don't know. So it was a big leg up, the warmth that David and Harry have for each other, and how that had exhibited itself when they were acting those two parts.
Yeah. Do you have any memories of this was done in 18 days? Is that right? It was 18 days you filmed this?
That's correct. 18 days. 18 days.
18 days. So, was there any memories that you could share with us working on actually making the film?
Well, a great David memory was when we were working on there's a fight, an argument in the bar that David participates in, and Harry was having difficulty getting to these run of lines that he turns the argument on to Elaine, who's played by Beth Grant. And he was really struggling getting there. He would get to that point, and it would just fall off the table. He just could not remember that beat. He was so frustrated because, why am I even saying this? And I explained what I thought the reason why, and he did what I've done 1,000 times, which is turn to my fellow actor, in this case with David, for leverage against the director. And he turned to David and he goes, "David, do you understand why I'm doing this?" And he said, "Yes, I do, Harry. I understand." And he goes, "Well, why?" And David turned to me, and I waited for a minute. And I said, "No, go ahead. Go ahead. Say whatever you want to say." And he turned to Harry and said, "It's not my place to say, Harry."
Huh. Wow.
It was just like, I'm going to let you direct this.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And I really appreciated that.
That is really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Wow. And it's sad that Harry passed away. It was recently. It seems like a few weeks ago. And did he get the chance to see the movie before he passed away?
Sadly, he did not. We wanted to, and he wanted to see it on the big screen. He was a big screen kind of guy, and it seemed like that was going to be possible. And then things, took a turn, and he never got an opportunity. We never got an opportunity to show him.
Yeah. And I thought I read somewhere where you guys did get together with him recently just to kind of have a gathering, just to hang out and stuff. Is that right? Did you have some
there were people who were able to go to the hospital. He went to visit him in the hospital. I was not able to do that.
Right.
But David was, and others were. But we did have a get-together, kind of a dinner in his honor as things slipped up. And there were quite a few people there. And
that's nice.
Very quite well. And it was great to hear their stories from years ago and to also share the stories of him more recently.
I'm trying to remember how the quote goes. It's like the Lifetime film, like his Lifetime film or something like that. The exact quote on the poster is.
Yeah.
But it really is.
Oh, it is literally a role of a lifetime.
Yeah, the role of a lifetime.
Everything that's happened up till now in Harry Dean's life.
And I don't want to give away anything.
For the role of a lifetime.
Oh, role of a lifetime.
Yeah.
I don't want to give much away, but like I love that. I love his performance, and there is some singing, and there's just so much. I mean,
everything him.
Everything him, and sometimes he doesn't even have to talk. It's just the facial movements or the way he acts, and it really was incredible to see him on film, and this being his last film, it was something special.
Yeah, there are very few actors who have the ability to express themselves so purely in silence, so well and so clearly to an audience, and he does that well. And of course, it was absolutely crucial in the film that he was able to do that. So it was an honor to be able to direct my first feature to begin with, and then to be able to direct it with Harry Dean Stanton as number one on the call sheet. That was pretty special.
Yeah. Do you think you'll do some more directing? I know you're always so busy acting, but do you think you'll get maybe...
I look forward to the next opportunity to tell stories from the director's chair, and also from my position in the storytelling as an actor. I love both of those things. I'm writing. I just really love the process of putting together films and also to act in them. It's just a lot of fun. The whole process is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I hope a lot of people see this film and they see what an amazing work you've done, and they they start calling you for all these projects because you deserve it. You really do. And
as they say, from your mouth to God. Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean I'd love to do some more, and I'm hopeful that this movie will be a calling card for more work. That being said, I hope it doesn't have to be incredibly satisfying that this got made and that people are getting a chance to see and celebrate Harry Dean's work, and along with that, David's work in the film, because I think his acting is excellent in the film.
It really is.
Definitely.
We only got probably another minute with you or so, but I just want to say, I saw, it was about a week ago, Channel Zero No End House, and you were in that, and I thought you were fantastic in that as well, and there's like all kinds of emotions.
Thank you.
You go from this really loving family, and then tragedy, and then there's some scary stuff, and all involved with you, which I think is really cool, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Well, that is a tremendously scary show. It's going to get worse from here. If you love horror, it's a great show. I think Stephen Pyatt, Nick Antosca did a beautiful job. The cast is great. Amy Forsyth, Anisha D, and Jeff Ward, among others. It's great, and the character that I play in the film is deceptive in every possible way. So I just he's got quite it's quite a journey from here till the end. 5 more weeks.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
very intrigued.
Pretty cool. And currently you're back as Twisty, American Horror Story as well.
Yeah, that's right. I was able to go have the opportunity to put on the old Motley again. It was fun, and I love playing with those guys. It's great to be on that set. It's always one of the best casts on television, so it's nice to be a part of.
Yeah. So it was so great to see your character come back, and the clowns, everyone's having, with It being the biggest movie, and then now you're back as one of the scariest clowns on TV. It's clowns are coming back.
People can't seem to get enough of scary clowns.
Yes.
So
for real clowns, I apologize.
Yeah.
So we basically got a preview, I guess, of your film Lucky. Is it this upcoming weekend that it's going to be nationwide, or can you tell us more how we can see
it
your
opens
film?
September 29th in New York and Los Angeles. It then starts opening wider and wider and wider. You can go to Magnolia Pictures to find out where near you, and when near you it's going to open. And if you don't find that, please feel free to contact your local theater and implore them to exhibit the movie there. It's a really special picture, and it is a movie that features Harry Dean Stanton in an exquisite performance.
Yes, I can't agree enough. I can't agree.
Yeah.
Everybody who's listening, I definitely recommend going and checking out the film. Thank you, John, so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, and have a great night. A great day, rather. Take care.
You too.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you, John Carroll Lynch, for being on today's show. We appreciate it. We were lucky to have him on today because we did not, we saw the film this past weekend. We saw a screener, like you said before, and this interview just happened. It was something we weren't pushing for it.
Yeah,
but it just kind of happened.
We reached out. We would say, hey, wouldn't it be something that, David Lynch is in the film and Harry Dean Stanton, who's been in Twin Peaks, wouldn't that be cool if we could talk about that? And there was a connection. And it feels very much a little bit like a straight story a little bit. I mean, it's got some kind of a vibe like that.
Yeah, definitely. I got the same thing. And, in my neck of the woods, it wasn't going to be playing until October. And then in your neck of the woods, it was playing in October as well. Ben calls me up Saturday. Hey, it's playing Sunday night. We should go.
Yes.
So I drove up to Amherst, and Ben and myself, we saw the film, and we both loved it. The audience loved it.
Yeah.
We walked out of there, and, there were some folks just saying it was just so nice to see a film that didn't have any violence. It was just a human story piece.
Yeah.
And Harry Dean Stanton, how great it was to see him have his own movie, and it's loosely based on him.
Right.
I mean, it was very special.
What an incredible performance he gave. I mean, it really was special. I mean, it is true that sometimes the silence is as good as, the words that he speaks. I mean, it was. I mean, it was interesting to see like the day in the life of this character that he was playing too, and to see the tasks that he did and the things that he did. And like, I think in the beginning we think he's one way. And I definitely, by the end, you realize, he's a little more complicated, and he's not like, things that we think he has issues with. He might not even have these issues. It's just trying to get a better sense of who this guy was. And
and it's a movie about who he wants to be, and things are happening to him, and how is he going to deal with these problems in life.
And it's definitely talks about mortality, that we're all going to die someday. I think that's something that, the character is sick or anything. It's just dealing with the fact that the guy is getting old. I think the character is 90 years old. And that's something to think about. Like, how do we look at life as we get older? Yeah,
definitely. And there's actually a documentary about Harry Dean's life, partly fiction.
Yes. It's funny that when Harry Dean Stanton passed away, I felt like I really needed to find some music of his, because I knew he sang in movies, and that's something he did, and so I found the music album to that documentary. Not really even seeing the documentary, and Bryon, you went the other way, and you were looking at the clips of the documentary. So it's funny that I went the music route and you went the film route.
It's so weird how this worked out. So I drive up. Me and Ben were sitting there in the theater before the movie started, and I was like, I'm listening to WTF's Mark Maron's podcast. He interviewed Harry Dean Stanton back in 2014. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Don't know how many podcasts Harry Dean Stanton has ever done. Probably the only podcast ever. It's very candid. It's rough. Mark Maron has a rough time interviewing him. But I got a chance to listen to this because they were promoting the documentary. I sit next to Ben. I said, did you know there's a documentary about him about 2014 his ex-girlfriend did? I had no idea. And he's a tough interview.
Yeah.
And then Ben's like, oh, did you know you put an album out? And I was like, what? So then he looks at the album, and the album is the name of the documentary. Yeah. So he put the album out for the documentary.
Right, isn't that funny?
It's so funny. And we're like, oh. So it's kind of cool.
We came at it from different angles.
Yeah. It all kind of came together at the theater. It's kind of cool.
And the funny thing is, and I don't think we realized until after we left the theater that this was loosely based on Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I thought, oh, we're just watching this character Lucky. And then you were like, I think you knew some stuff from the podcast. And I was just reading articles because I was really interested in this film.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he talks about like nothing. And he talks, he has this philosophy that's very similar to Lucky's philosophy.
Yes.
I thought that was really something, and that the writers did really kind of sit down with Harry Dean Stanton and try to get a sense of who he was and put that into the film.
It truly is a love letter to who he was.
Yeah.
And it's a caricature of himself, and when I'm listening to the podcast, Mark is asking him questions and he's answering them. And after I see the film, I was like, oh my God, he basically said a lot of the things that they show us in the film.
Isn't that something?
It was really cool. And then, so it's well worth seeing. And like John Carroll Lynch said, find out where it's airing in your area. Call if you can get it to play in that area. It's worth seeing, definitely.
And I think it'll be in many theaters this weekend. I do really recommend it. I mean, it'd be great. Maybe it's a way to honor Harry Dean Stanton. Go out there and see the film, and remembering what a great actor he was.
Yeah. And the most interesting part of the whole thing, so we see the film, I go home. Now, in the film, you heard a clip during the show, David Lynch talking about his lost turtle, President Roosevelt. Well, I go home and, I was telling my girlfriend. Yeah, I was telling my girlfriend about the movie.
Yeah.
And then very next day, she sends me a text. I just passed a sign for a missing turtle. A tortoise. Not a turtle, a tortoise, which was the same thing. David Lynch, it's not a turtle, it's a tortoise.
Right.
So
it's very common for tortoises to go missing?
So I go and I look, and this tortoise named Rollo is missing in my neighborhood. I thought that was, what are the odds?
Yeah, what are the odds? What are the chances that you just go and see this film and the next day there's a sign for it? It's like... It's
so bizarre. So all these serendipitous things happen. I hope Rollo finds his home again.
Or maybe he didn't want to go home. Maybe
he was eyeing that gate. That's all I kept thinking. Was David Lynch's line there is a turtle, the tortoise eyeing that door going, when that door opens, I'm making my getaway. They move so slow.
Yes.
But excellent film. We're so grateful that John Carroll Lynch came on today. And he's done so many things. The guy's amazing.
And we just talked a little bit about, the more recent things he's been in. But, it's like Fargo and so many other cool things.
Yeah, he's been in Walking Dead. So his list of acting goes on and on.
And I think we kind of talked about that. Maybe that's why he is a really good director, is because he's acted for so long. He gets a good sense of where he's at, and he understands the actors, and I think that's just, it comes natural to him.
Yeah, I can't wait. I hope he gets to do another film because it was very beautifully shot.
I really think he will. After people seeing this, when people see this, I think they'll be not banging down his door, asking to do other projects.
So, with that being said, please email us at twinpeaksunwrapped@gmail.com. Also, this is the last week you can get your over-the-top Mr. C t-shirt. It's going to be gone October 1st, FYI. We've been selling a lot of them. We only got a few left. This is it. Once they're gone, they're gone. October 1st, we're shutting that door down.
And I just want to say, I love all the people who are sending pictures out showing us their tees.
Yes, thank you. Christian.
Christian had our logo shirt, which has now been discontinued.
It's still on there.
Oh.
Something else got discontinued. I was wrong.
Maybe I gotta get myself a copy.
Ours is on. There's some that get discontinued. I looked.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the labeling was off, so that's my fault. That one is still existing.
So our logo is up there still.
Still there.
I gotta get
something else got pulled.
Okay.
It was the one. It was something else.
Right,
it doesn't matter. So keep sending those photos in on Facebook or Twitter. We're Twin Peaks Unwrapped on Facebook. Thank you for all the likes. And we're still getting comments. People are going back and listening to our old shows, and they're loving my old theories.
I know. I always say we should have done a show just on you and your theories.
A supercut theories.
I do think I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but maybe next year. I think we are going to have a segment on theories. We're going to. We're talking about that, but I think we probably want to hold off to 2018.
Yeah.
But we'll get back into our segments maybe after these interviews and other stuff we're doing
after the holidays.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a lot to think about for season 3.
I want to rewatch it. We were talking about this too. I wanted to rewatch season 3, but you're talking about going all the way back.
I think every Sunday I'm going to go back and rewatch season 1.
Yeah.
Watch season 1. Watch season 2, but skip the middle part. Don't need. And then go to Firewalk with me, and then start watching season 3. Because by that time the DVDs would be out.
Yes.
I'll stretch it so I can get the DVDs exactly.
It's not that far away.
No, it's not. It'll come quick. Holidays come and go so quickly.
So I think next week, Mark Givens, and a Twin Peaks special actor.
Yeah, I can give 2 clues.
Okay.
2 clues. One clue, this person has been in all 3 seasons of Twin Peaks.
Okay.
And the second clue, it is an actress.
Oh, wow, it's an actress.
It's an actress.
Wow, you've kind of narrowed it.
Maybe.
50-50, right? You can cut out all the males on the show.
Yeah. But they were in all 3 seasons.
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
those are your 2 clues. That will be happening next week, most definitely.
If I edit the show.
Ben gets it out in time.
Yes, I will work on that.
Keep your ear posted. Keep your ear close to your podcatcher, and you'll get it eventually.
Maybe. Yes.
A
great show. It was really special. It was something else. And again, I can't recommend enough Lucky, the film there. You got to check it out.
So please go support Lucky, and we'll see you guys next week.
And I see you, and you see me, and I see you in the branches that blow.